Hello. Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome to week
Hello.
4 of 6 Weeks to Success. How's everyone doing?
Good.
Good, thanks.
Good. Well, it's nice to see everybody. Bear with my hot mess look today. It's been one of those days for me. So the fact that I'm still upright is a tribute to dedication to tonight's call.
We appreciate it.
Yes.
Yeah, I started my day by finding out I needed foot surgery. Then I had issues with my son throughout the day, so it's been a special one.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's life, right? It's life. All right. I'm going to turn my share screen on, and then I will get the open up a bazillion screens here. All right. Come on, slideshow. Okay, guys, let's get the slideshow started. All right. So welcome to week 4 of 6 Weeks to Success. Anybody who's here or watching this, you guys have completed the first half of the program, so be proud of yourselves. We're going into the second half of the program. Each week, as you know, focuses on a different topic. So by the time we get through the end of the 6 weeks, you guys will have a good foundation in each of the core topics that will give you a successful business. So, what have we learned so far? Okay. So you've learned that you have to increase your product knowledge in order to maximize your sales and bookings. You've learned that your belief dictates what your belief decides what you believe you can and cannot do, and that your brain actually can in fact be retrained. You've learned how to talk to people while you're out and about, and how to book parties at your show, and the words to say both out and about and at your show. You've learned that your passion shines through and can influence purchases and bookings at parties. You've learned that you have to host coach effectively in order to keep your sales high and your bookings high, and in order to keep yourself with a constant pool of recruit leads. And you've learned that your skills will make a huge difference at every party. When you know your product, you can sell your product. When you know what to say and you know how to handle objections, it's a lot easier to turn a maybe into a yes. And that tweaking your host coaching will get you bigger parties and better results. And we learned last week that host coaching is where you earn your paycheck and the party is where you pick it up. Okay. Does anybody have any questions on host coaching, which is what we discussed last week and what your homework was on? Are you scared? Do you not know where to start? Or have you started host coaching differently since last week and noticed a difference? No. Okay. Don't all jump up and answer. Okay. Well,
I did make some changes, Erin.
Well, you noticed some changes, Carol?
I did make some changes. I made a little more contact and, explained a little bit more about how the parties are going to go, and, try and get 40 people, because I wasn't doing that before. And so I have these
great.
2 upcoming parties that I've been doing that with.
And it's a process, right? You're not going to change overnight. You take the things you've learned and you implement, what you feel comfortable with, and then build on that. Just know that, these are the things that are going to make a difference, and implement them as you feel comfortable.
Yes.
Okay. Well, today we're going to move on to recruiting, which is where background. We're going to move on to recruiting, which is where you work smarter, not harder. If you're doing this program, then you're probably committed to wanting to make this more than just a hobby. And if you want to make this more than just a hobby, the best way to increase your paycheck is by building it. So we're going to talk today about how you can recruit, and recruiting is obviously the first step in building a team. You have to recruit, and then you have to learn what to do with your team. So there's a few different things that you can talk about as far as recruiting. So recruiting at cooking shows. Always look for red flag questions. So we're going to go more into what the red flag questions are in one of the later slides. But the red flag questions are essentially questions that guests can ask that should trigger you to know that means that there's a possible interest in them joining your team. Notice and interact with people who get there early or stay late. And that also can apply to a virtual setting where you want to make sure you notice and interact with anybody who is active in the party and throughout the party on Messenger. If you're using either mine or Michelle's outlines, you know that you find the date or you have to find the whatever it is that season and they message you. Don't just ignore those messages. Those messages are an opportunity to create a relationship. If people offer to help you, let them. So if you're at an in-home party and someone's like, oh, can I help you set up? Or, oh, can I cut this for you? Or do you need help with the dishes? Let them. Absolutely let them, because that's how you develop relationships. Make sure you're telling your story. And this is the number one most important tool in recruiting. I was watching a training last week with Kristen Warenga, who is a new executive director, 100% virtual, very young, and recruited to director extremely quickly. And she made a point and said that your story is the heart and the money is the head. So if you tell your story and you talk about the money, the heart and the head will work together, and that's how you're going to go. Follow up with the hecklers in the crowd. So anybody who's busting your chops at a show, talk to them, because the chances are they're busting your chops because a piece of them is interested in what you're doing. And then follow up with anybody who comments and says they have a lot of Pampered Chef already, because obviously those are the people who already love the product and who would maybe be joining just for a discount if nothing else. So some of the red flag questions. How many shows do you do a week? Are there many consultants in this area? Do you do all of your shows at night? You actually get to keep those products. Does your spouse mind if you do this? Do you have another job in addition to this? Anybody who asks any one of these questions, whether in person or virtually, is asking because they're thinking about it. They're thinking about, you know, what are the objections in their head as to why they wouldn't do it. Like if they're saying you do all of your shows at night, that probably means I don't have anybody to watch my kids at night, so I could never do this. Is there another way? Or, you know, are there many consultants in this area? Because in their head, they're like, there's got to be 3 million consultants here. What could I possibly do that makes me better than them? Or, you know, does your spouse mind if you do this? Probably means they have an unsupportive spouse and they're thinking that they love to do something like this. Their husband or wife would never allow them to. So these are questions that tell you, go dig a little bit deeper with this. Tell your story. So like what I was just saying, tell your story. We talked about your personal commercial. This is a in-depth version of your personal commercial. This is something that if you're doing an in-home party, you 100% be telling in the beginning of the presentation. And if you're doing virtuals, you should either be going live or have a recorded video of you telling your story. Your story is, why did you start? Why did you join Pampered Chef? Why did you stay, or why are you still here? And then what you're excited about next. So this example is not mine. I could tell you my example. My story that I tell is, you know, 4.5 years ago, I was 2 months pregnant with my second son. I had a 1-year-old at home. I was working corporate retail, was out of the house for 50 to 60 hours a week. I saw my 1-year-old for an hour a day. I pumped in a closet at work, and I cried every single day. When I found out I was pregnant with my second son, I knew something had to give, but I didn't have the balls to make anything happen. I've always been a career person, and my family could never function without my salary. Well, you know, the powers that be had a different decision, and I got laid off from my job. So in the moment that I got laid off, I decided something different had to happen, and there had to be something out there where I can make money without dedicating my entire week to that said money situation. So anyway, I decided to give Pampered Chef a try. I really had no expectations. I didn't anticipate any sort of a career from it, but I figured, let me give it a shot. Fast forward almost 5 years. Why do I stay? Because I'm still here for the money. I mean, this has become a career. This has become my full-time job. But I also stay for the team and for the people and for the everyday learning that I'm getting. I didn't cook at all. I didn't know how to cook. I barely knew how to make reservations when I first started. So I stay because I continue to learn how to cook, and my husband doesn't completely spit out everything I say. He's over here, and he can actually tell you that that's the truth. But I've made slight progress. And what I'm excited about next is I have grown a team. I have almost 100 people under me now, and I get excited every single day helping other people achieve the goals that I've achieved, and that's what I'm sticking around for. So that's my story, and you see, like, people can relate to some of the things that I mentioned in my story. I talked about work-life balance, which will strike a chord with a lot of people, because a lot of people have a hard time with work-life balance. And I talked about how I needed money because my family can't survive without my paycheck. But I also mentioned how I didn't know how to cook, because a lot of people are like, oh, well, I don't know how to cook, so I could never do this. So make sure your story is personal, because you never know who you're going to hit with your story and who's going to relate to a piece of your story. Recruiting activities. So there's a lot of recruiting activities that you can do, whether it's virtual or in-home. The ticket game is a great one. So in person, the ticket game is you have an actual roll of tickets, and you have people ask questions about the business, and you give tickets for each question that they ask about the business. There's different versions of this out there, but the gist of it is they get a ticket for every question about the business, and you raffle off some sort of a prize at the end. Virtual, you do the ticket game. You do the ticket game where you're giving out tickets throughout the entire virtual for all different things, including the Ask Me a Question slide, which we'll talk about after. Pass the Prize is, I don't think Pass the Prize is as much of a recruiting activity as an engagement activity, but that's at a cooking show, you would have like a cookbook or a small prize, and every time you say a certain word, they pass it around the room. So every time I say amazing, you pass this around the room. So it's kind of a way to get them to pay attention. Scream out amazing if everyone's kind of distracted, and then they'll remember to pass the prize around. The envelope game. This is one that I like to do at my in-homes. I bring multiple envelopes with different paychecks of different consultants at different levels, and I play a game. And I'm actually in the process of creating a virtual version of this that I'm happy to share with everybody once I get it created, where I hold up an envelope and I say, inside of here I have a paycheck of someone on my team. This person did 4 virtual parties this month and also has a full-time job and 2 kids at home. How much do you think her paycheck is for? And then the people start guessing how much they think the paycheck is for, and then you open it up and you show them. You do this with a couple of different paychecks. So you show them that different kinds of people can do this job. You do someone who has another full-time job. You do someone who does this full-time. You do someone that does it super part-time and, you know, also homeschools their kids or whatever the case may be. And you can show paychecks ranging from $400 to $5,000. So you can see that there really is a broad range in what you can do with this. The Y bag. A lot of people do a Y bag where they have a bag with, you pull things out of the bag and it talks about why you joined Pampered Chef. And the recruiting slide is the like drop down recruiting pamphlet that the company provides. Recruiting a virtual party. So there's the Ask Me Anything game. So definitely if you're doing virtual parties, make sure you have an Ask Anything post in there so they can ask questions and earn raffle tickets. Definitely do several posts about why you love being a consultant and what some of the perks are. I'm going to show you some of those. Most of you guys are in our downline, so you see mine and Michelle's outlines, and we certainly have these in our outlines every single month. Anyone who comments or likes on your recruiting post, don't just say, oh, wow, great, they're commenting. Reach out to those people, because if they're commenting on your recruiting post, that means there's a little piece of them that's interested in you. Make sure you're texting or calling or whatever your messages, your guests at the end of the show. Following that 2-2-2 follow-up method, and every single person that you're reaching out to, offer them the opportunity, offer them a booking. That's a perfect opportunity to open another door. So here are just a couple of things that you can be posting in your parties to create an interest. That's why I love being a consultant. A year ago today, you wish you'll start today. Ask me anything. You know, these are all things that I believe you guys have probably seen before, but they're extremely important. So this is one of the hardest things to get past in your head when it comes to recruiting, and that's ask everyone. It is so easy to prejudge people. You meet somebody and you're like, oh, she would never need this. You know, she's got a designer bag. She's got all of her stuff together. There's no way she needs extra money. Or, you know, whatever your initial judgment is, put that on the back burner and ask everybody. You never know who laid awake last night worrying about bills, or who cried this morning when she dropped her baby at daycare, who's wondering if they can pay their electric bill this month, who's looking for friends or joy in their life. Not everybody is here for money, and you have to remember that. There are people who join this just for something to do, or there are people who join it for the sisterhood. And it sounds cheesy, but it's really true. Like, there are people who maybe join for the money but stay for the friendship, or join for the friendship and stay for the money, because things change over time. You know, who has a short-term goal that they're looking to work towards, like their kid needs braces and all of a sudden they need $2,000 that they need to come up with, or they need to send their kids to camp, or they have a wedding to pay for. Who's miserable at their job? I mean, most people are miserable at their jobs, so that's an easy one. So ask everyone. Think about it. If you walked into a party with a plate of cookies, would you only ask some of the people if they wanted cookies, or would you ask every single person in the room, would you like one of my cookies? You would offer your cookies to everybody, right? So think of the business as your cookies. Offer your cookies to everyone. Everyone is a little bit of a cookie monster. If you don't ask, the answer is always no. And I can't say that enough. No is just a word. And if somebody says no to you, that's okay. Don't take it personally. Not everybody wants what you're offering. Not everybody wants your cookies, and you're not going to cry that they say no about your cookies, right? So offer your business. If you don't ask, the answer is always no. If you don't go after what you want, you will never get it. If you don't take a step forward, you'll always be stuck in the same spot. And remember, recruiting at its core is really just a conversation. There's no perfect thing that you can say to somebody who isn't interested. There's nothing wrong that you can say to a person. It's really just a conversation. Don't hype it up so much in your head that it's something way bigger than that. It's really just you talking to them and explaining to them what the opportunity is and seeing if they're interested. So how do you know what to say? It's actually really easy. We have digital interview cards, which are available online. You can download them on your phone or on your computer. Once you use them a couple times, you'll probably not need them anymore, but they're a great starting point. And the most important part is be quiet. Ask your question and then shish. Let them talk. Let people recruit themselves. Ask them about their lives. People love talking about themselves. Ask them about their lives and what their wants and their needs are, and just be quiet and let them tell you. So these are the interview cards. When you open up the interview, it used to be physical cards, which is why they're called interview cards, but it's all digital now. So life tastes great. So when you open it up, you click through. So tell me about yourself. And then you can click on any one of these. So tell me about your family, your occupation, your interests, your dreams. So ask them about themselves. Let them tell you about who they are. You know, tell me about yourself. What do you do? What do you want to do? And then you say, you know, how would you like to know more, or are you ready to just get started? Which of these interest you? Because these are all things that Pinterest has to offer. Easy, fun, money. It's an easy business to run. You start with a grand opening, you earn your host rewards. It's simple to sell products like these. It's a minimal investment, and you start making money right away. Where to next? Fun. Which of these sounds like fun for you? Free products, recognition and awards, free vacations, friendships, and you know, the fact that our job is a party. Then it shows the earning calendar here, where it says, you know, do you want to just make a little bit of fun money, where you put in 1 to 3 hours a week? You can make between, you know, $100 and $500 a month. Do you want to contribute to your household income? You know, bring in between $600 and $1,100 a month. Put in 3 to 6 hours, because people are always asking, well, how much time do you put in, and how much money can you? This is a really nice way of looking at it. People ask me, how much time do I put into my business? And I put in probably around 15 hours a week. So, you know, I fall into here. I would like to come, you know, over here. Slowly but surely I'm working on it. But, you know, you think about how much time are you putting into your business? Are you putting a minimum of 1 hour a week into your business? Because if you are, you'll be here. And you tell that to people. If you're super busy, that's fine. If you put 1 hour a week into your business, you could be making between $100 and $500 a month, which is not too shabby. You know, what would you enjoy the most about setting your own hours, being your own boss, flexibility? And again, you're asking them this question, and let them answer you, and let them recruit themselves. What support would be important to you? National and regional training, online training, local meetings, customer support. And, you know, I always joke with people, that's what they get with the kit. And I list everything out. And I'm like, and you get me. So, you know, that's kind of the best thing in your kit. Is you get me 24/7, here to help you, onboard you, hold your hand, and mentor you across the board. Why Pampered Chef? I mean, it speaks for itself. Free products every season. We cover all the host rewards. You never have to worry about inventory. And it's really easy to get started. Schedule your grand opening. This is when our next team meeting is. This is when we train, and let's just get your kit ordered today. And then you show them the different kits, and you can just click right on that and order their kit if they're interested. So again, don't freak out. It's just a conversation. The code word for this week is tacos. So we're still working on our skills, our pillars of success. Skills are a major component of your success. The bigger your skill, the bigger your commission check. The more you tweak your skills, the more you're learning about selling, host coaching, booking, and recruiting, the better your business will be. So in order to improve your skills, practice recruiting your friend, even if it's not somebody who has any interest in being recruited. Practice, have a recruiting conversation. Write out your story and practice it. Record a video of yourself, even if you don't do virtuals. Record a video of yourself so you can see yourself or hear yourself talking about it. Practice with the digital interview card. Watch trainings on PCU and on YouTube. Attend any team meetings or training. Start saving for a national conference. Whoops, I should probably say this. It's July 2019 is our conference for next year. Read books on recruiting. Direct Selling for Dummies is a great, it sounds silly, but it's a really, really great book and a great place to start. And do a lot of shows, because honestly, the more you do, the better you will feel. The bigger gap in between your shows, the more uncomfortable you're going to be with everyone. Does anybody have any questions about the stuff I talked about? No questions. Okay. So today's homework is listen to Top Recruiters Tell It All with Brenda Copy and Genevieve Black. I'll post this link on the page, how to get to it. It's on Care Sharing Resources. And then in the Google Doc, you'll talk about your takeaways. Also include how many shows you commit to booking, how many host coaching calls you'll do, the same stuff that's in your Google Doc every week. And next week, we're going to talk about customer care, which is an often forgotten about training point. So let me stop sharing. I hope you guys, sorry, I have so much stuff popping up on my screen. I hope you guys found this helpful. I will post the recording. I'll post the homework and everything on the page. Anybody have any questions at all? No? Well, thank you guys so much for joining me tonight.
Thanks for doing this for us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Erin.
You're welcome. I hope it was helpful, guys. Have a good night.
You
Thanks.
too.
Bye.